It's the Orange and Blue Report presented by the UVA Health System as we take a quick peek now to tomorrow's big game. It's the Scouting Report. I'm Dave Kane and I'm joined by the ball hawk, Ahmad Hawkins, as we are apt to do this time of the week every week. And Hawk, we go from one big game to another big game. Miami on Saturday, everybody's so amped up, and obviously with good reason for one of the best results Virginia's had in a long time. First top 25 win in 4 years. Now you got to turn the page. But you'll have a good opponent that you're looking for. It's not as though the drop-off is there. Plenty to focus on this weekend.
Yeah, it's like deja vu, but it's reversed. Last year, UVA went to Boise State, defeated them, a top 25 team, and then they came home to play Duke. This year, they played Miami at home, got the upset. Now they go on the road to play Duke, and both times Duke have demonstrated that they're good teams by their record, and they're very sound, led by Coach Cutcliffe.
Yeah, well, so for whatever reason to this point, Bronco Mendenhall has gotten the better of Coach Cutcliffe's teams. He's won both of his meetings against the Blue Devils, trying to make it 4 consecutive wins here overall and 3 under Bronco Mendenhall. In some ways, it's a very intriguing matchup because of the two competing masterminds, if you want to call them that. Defensively, you've got the guru, Bronco Mendenhall, on one side. Offensively, David Cutcliffe on the other side. It's a chess match. So with that in mind, let's dive into this chess match here today and how it's going to look. As we look at this Duke offensive attack, well, this is where David Cutcliffe has made his name.
Yes.
And tell us what we're seeing here.
Right here, you're seeing a double screen. You're trying to use the movement of the defense against them and keep them guessing and to allow your offensive line to have a better chance versus the pass rush. Right here, you see Georgia Tech kind of confused, not knowing it's a two-way tunnel screen and just getting positive yards, getting you from being backed up and allowing the playbook to open that much more.
It's a lot of quick hitters with this Duke offensive unit, and so much of that is a veteran quarterback, Daniel Jones, who has struggled against Virginia. But look, it's about getting the ball out in a hurry. Their offensive line at Duke, much like Virginia's, don't feel super comfortable behind, so you better work quickly.
Yeah, and right here, Duke runs the RPO, and to a lot of people's surprise, Duke actually runs the ball more than when they passed, and that's probably due to Daniel Jones being injured. But with the RPO, it allows us to use the linebackers against them, and we can open up those slant areas behind you. So it's a very difficult scheme to defeat.
Mentioned Daniel Jones and what he's been able to do. Well, he's thrown only 22 interceptions over the course of 31 games in his career. 7 of those have come against Virginia. He's got the ability to throw. You mentioned the injury coming back from the broken clavicle. He's playing his 3rd game since then. Had surgery. They say no ill effects. What do you see?
First of all, I think he should be a part of the X-Men. He got Wolverine traits, and he healed it real fast. But the thing about Daniel Jones, he's a tall, strapping kid. He's more athletic than what you think, and he's very cerebral. He's been trained by a quarterback guru. Coach Cutcliffe trains the Mannings, Peyton, and Eli, so you know the pedigree is there. But for some reason, like we stated, Bronco Mendenhall has been able to cause him to make ill-advised throws, 7 interceptions in 2 games versus the Cavaliers.
Well, as much as we want to talk about this Duke offensive attack, the reality is this season here in 2018, much like a year ago when they were much improved defensively, you could make the case even better this season, allowing the 20th fewest points per game of any team in college football, 3rd stingiest defense in that regard in the ACC. And it's intriguing because there's 8 new starters this season from a year ago, but they feel like they've got a lot more depth. Tell us what they're bringing.
You know what they do? They run a 4-2-5 defense. Basically, have 2 sound linebackers, an extra defensive back, but they play collectively as a unit and they get after you and they believe in the scheme of things. That's why when you bring in a new core guys that are young, the scheme allows them to play within themselves and to play toward their strengths. And they play a lot of man on the outside. They have a high safety by himself, and they challenge you by allowing those linebackers to press the line of scrimmage. And you just don't know with all these twisting games that they run where the pressure's coming, and they put pressure on your quarterback to make those bucket throws on the outside on those back shoulder fade routes that we see the greats like Aaron Rodgers make in the NFL.
A lot more athleticism, a lot more depth, as I said, for this Duke defensive unit. But a week ago, one of their big keys was forcing turnovers. 3 of them really changed the entire complexion of that game, much like what happened with Miami the week before Virginia played them against Florida State. Those turnovers can be killer. Yeah,
turnovers are killer. And the main thing about turnovers is scoring points off of turnovers. If I'm on the opposing defense and I see that my offense has turned the ball over, the win for me is making you settle for a field goal as we did versus Miami. But you saw when we had the turnover versus Miami, we generated a touchdown. So when you look at Duke versus Georgia Tech, 3 turnovers, 21 points. That was the difference in the ball game.
Well, conversely, you may recall, last time Virginia was at Wallace Wade Stadium, it was a turnover that sealed the game. The hit heard around the world as Jordan Mack got a little piece of Daniel Jones. I certainly imagine he hasn't forgotten that, nor has Jordan Mack. Unfortunately, Mack won't be able to play in this game. But speaking of guys that won't be able to play in this game, for the Blue Devils, they'll be playing without their senior nose tackle or defensive lineman, Edgar Serenord. Also, Mark Gilbert lost for the season, perhaps their best defensive player, their cornerback. So maybe that depth getting a little bit more tested for the Blue Devils here going into this game. Going to be a fun game to watch. It's Coastal Chaos in the Coastal Division. These two teams trying to stay in the hunt. For Ahmad Hawkins, I'm Dave Kane. We hope to see you on the radio tomorrow. It's a 12:30 game. We hit the airwaves at 11:30 on the Virginia Sports Radio Network.